What is up, Tall and Taller Nation, guys? Welcome back to another episode where we have a nice, fun-filled episode. Michigan game, spring game recap, NFL draft recap. Talk about what we like, didn't like, what we want to see more of in the spring game, and same thing kind of with the NFL draft. Our surprises and things like that that'll happen. Um, but to start, um, the spring game. I don't, I don't like this. It's so hard to read off a spring game, especially now the way that Michigan does it. Now
Yeah,
I kind of get now why Michigan used to do what I think Ohio State still does and plays offense and defense. Pretty much just runs a offensive scrimmage rather than a full game because you get to see your groups playing together. And in spring game, in our spring game, the way a lot of people do it now, you don't. You don't see everyone
yeah,
who's probably going to be playing together this fall play together because I mean you have I don't know I couldn't tell you what the rosters were anymore, but I mean you had Mason. You just as an example, you can have Mason Graham on one side of the ball and on the Mays team, and Kenneth Grant on the other side of the ball. So those two are going to eat up the middle all year next season, and you don't get to see it. So it's so hard to justify off a spring off the way that we run our spring game now.
it is. But the reality is it's for the fans, right? It's just to kind of give you a little football fix. It's a glorified scrimmage, right? And it gives fans something to talk about and speculate about, and opposing fans too. But the reality is you just can't read anything out of it. You just can't. It's fun to watch. It's hard. It's fun to talk about. I guess you get a general idea of who's going to be in the rotation. But for example, quarterback for us, we don't know anything more than we did before. We know that
I don't.
we know that Alex Orgy is a great athlete who struggles throwing the ball right, and we knew that
I
before.
know that, but he played the way that JJ McCarthy played all season though, with throwing them short. He was 13 for 18. He was efficient.
He was
I mean, he didn't
against
throw a
players that
pick
he
that was
plays every
dropped.
day, right? That. No, I just think it's scripted, to the point where it's really
Yeah,
too hard to tell for sure. And
it's definitely more of a practice, like you said, scripted wise.
yeah, and if I think that oh shoot, what's his name? Davis
Quarterback,
Warren, Davis Warren, and Jack Tuttle.
I
Uh,
think. Go
I,
ahead.
I think ultimately Tuttle's going to be our guy. He's just hurt
Yeah,
and been out.
yeah,
Um,
and
Davis
there's no
Warren
hype about him.
could play into it, but unless Orgy just makes leaps and bounds, and he's a junior now, right? You should generally take the series, and maybe when the season starts, he does something like 3 years ago with Cade and JJ, where we alternate them and kind of against
There,
the lesser opponents. But we got Texas's game too, right? I think.
that's what. Yep, that's what I was gonna say. Is that there's really no chance to do that this season. It's put up or
So
shut up
maybe
right away.
game one.
Fresno half and half.
Who the hell's Michael Malone? Roll
God damn
Tide.
it, Mike. What the hell, Mike? Go on, Mike. He's just a troll,
Roll Lions. We're the professional Bama team now of the North.
dude.
Yeah, shit. We got 5, 6 guys on there.
I don't want to hear it. Yeah, it's disgusting. How'd that Mike? I didn't even know you were a Bama fan. You didn't talk. You didn't talk any shit to me before the Rose Bowl.
Or after, got a lot of balls coming on here after the ass sent Saban into retirement. Coming on here saying
But
Roll Tide. Get the fuck out of here.
oh shit, Mike. I'm sorry. JK. Next, in the first, the first half, I think we, I mean, the defense obviously dominated the game. Obviously, like man, I don't want to say this off of just a spring game, but I think the defense. I mean, I don't think the defense is going to take a step back this season. They might not be as powerful like as they were when it comes to your what do we average last year? Like 8 points a game given up or some crazy number. It was
So,
some
yeah,
single digit number.
it was
Um,
nuts.
that could change a little bit. Um, but I don't know. We've seen some good secondary play, how we wanted to see, um, pretty much out of everybody. I mean, one of them decided to just up and leave, which that sounds more and more every day like it was tampering with DJ Waller. Dude played great and honestly had probably a chance to start in the fall just by watching it and not knowing the backstory and all that, what's going on behind the scenes. But uh, I thought he had a really good shot, and that was probably the biggest surprise to me this offseason of people who've transferred is after watching him play, and then boom, next day up and out of the league, up and into the transfer portal.
Yeah, and who was it? Was that a Marion Walker that just left in the portal?
So Amorian Walker left after the season,
Yeah,
or whatever. Went to Ole Miss, played the spring with Ole Miss, and is now back in the portal, and is now apparently rumored and crystal balled 100% to come back to Michigan.
right. So and that's a case of the grass isn't always greener on the other side, and I think he saw that, thought he was gonna, get a little more love or something, or maybe he just misses his people and's like, I made a mistake, and that's fine, but that's the flaw in the transfer system. Going off topic real quick, see James Turner just signed as a UDA too, so
Oh, kicker,
place
yeah.
kicker.
Yep, James Terry. Yes, I was thinking. I was thinking of Chris or what was his name?
Signed with the Lions too.
DJ Turner. Oh
Yeah,
well, I'm surprised the Lions aren't going to sign old boy from the Panthers.
and I can't
That
believe they won't at
is
least.
my assuming is like they don't want. I wonder if there's like a no compete clause in season for them.
And there might be, or even just a gentleman's agreement, but I'd be shocked if they didn't bring him in and give him a shot.
Oh, that kid's gonna he will have an NFL job this fall,
Yeah,
whether it's with the Lions or somebody else. But
yeah, and
yeah,
that's the. I mean, like I said, the Lions should at least bring him in and give him a look because hello, he's playing in your house, right? He's made some of those kicks in your house, so.
yeah.
And granted, the crowds are different, the pressure's different, but I think he's earned a look.
Oh yeah, and I don't want to go down that road. I was going to start talking about the Panthers, but if we want to talk, we'll throw that in at the end. Um, going back because you said Turner said signed. First half, look at the first half first. I kind of how I have my notes laid out. That, um, I mean, like I said, Orgy. I think he was probably as good as I thought he was going to be. I mean, he only missed. He started out 0 for 2 on the day, and I think he only missed like 3 more passes.
Yeah.
13 for 18. I don't have the total yardage written down right now. For what he threw for, but I think it was like 100. It was a low hundreds, like 115, 120, somewhere in between there. I think it was. I think it was like 118 if
Yeah.
on 18 passes. Davis Warren, between Alex Orji and Davis Warren, all in all, as of right now, as it sits, I think that Jack Tuttle is your starter, just as you said, coming into the fall. As long as he can stay healthy, everything goes right. I think he's one, our best bet, two, where it needs to go, and I think Davis Warren is QB2 again, as we've seen from what we've seen of him on Saturday, and I think or last Saturday, and I think that Orji's probably will obviously get the reps. I think Orji would kind of be in the same position as he was last season and running the football. He'll be the speed quarterback, come in, run the ball for 10 yards, sit down. I could be completely wrong though. Like I said, we don't know what's going on behind the backside of everything. We don't have insider access. So, um,
No, but yeah, I think it'll be stiff competition. You know, they got one game to maybe work it out and see who performs best under pressure. Who do we open up with? I can't even think.
Fresno State,
Yeah. So
which for a smaller division school is a football has
yeah,
always been a good football team, and I think I mean looking at it now, that'll probably be like a 20-30 point win. But
so you know, it's funny is there's two schools of thought on that. Either you give both guys some playing time and see who you think's ready to go, or you want your guy to get all the action he can so he's ready for Texas. But you know, before we got off on the little rant there, we were talking about you were talking about the defense, and I fully expect that to be our
Mhm.
strength, right? And if it's not, we're probably in trouble. Um, and I'm with you. I don't think we're going to be as dominant as we were last year, but I also don't think we're going to see a great big significant drop either. You know, it's going to be our strength. You know, with Mason and Kenneth Grant.
even with our Rod Moore,
Yep.
the edge rushers that are going to step up this season, um, someone that to me that really popped out, and I think is going to be a huge problem unless he gets drawn into the portal, that I've seen is Zeke Berry. Look like he's going to be an issue in the
Yep.
back on the back. He looks flying around, was in on a lot of plays, kind of like your Junior Colsons, your Devin Bushes, um, all up in it. Was quick, fast. Probably if we were still in the Don Brown era, he would have been that. What did Don Brown call Jabril Peppers? What
Hybrid
was?
something.
Yeah, it was a hybrid, but I don't remember what he had like a specific name for it, the Viper or something like that.
Yeah, yeah, I
Some
think
I
that's
can't
it.
I cannot remember for the life of me, but I think Zeke Berry is someone that I could fill that Junior Colson really anywhere. Junior Colson, Michael Barrett's role, uh, just because he flew around the field.
Yeah, you know, and a couple things with that is one that's where our depth is or was, right? And um, you know, pretty much a complete makeover on the offensive side of the ball, but defense we should be able to uh, basically just reload. You know, Wink Martindale, kind of the OG of our of our system, kind of taught the guys the last couple coordinators we've had how to run that system. So I don't think we're going to see a whole lot of drop off there. You know, maybe it takes us a minute or two to get acclimated and get going, but I expect that to be our strength. And you know, we kind of like JJ's first year as a full starter. You know, we need that quarterback not to lose us games more than we need him to win us games.
Yep,
Um,
yep. I think
defense is going to keep us in the mix, right? And at least hopefully that's kind of the plan. And anything that offense can do is go up. And you know, I don't expect us again to be as stout as we were last year, but um, I don't think we're going to give up a ton more points. You know, what we're going to miss the most, and Will Johnson's back there, maybe he makes up for it. But you know, the longer that the more time that we have away from Mikey Sanders still, the more I appreciate him. Um, and you know, Nick Saban, I'm sure you heard it, called him pound for pound the best player in the draft. Um, Saban said, I think it was on McAfee's.
yeah, McCarron, yeah,
Yeah,
McAfee show.
McAfee. Uh, he tore our ass up. Um, so you know, joke all you want about the players, and I certainly do, and you know our rival teams and everyone we play against. But that's a hell of a compliment coming from the go to coaching.
Yeah, and 100%. I mean, remind me to talk about Saban later because I don't want to talk about it now. But again, like I mean, we'll see who steps up. We'll see who wants to play. But I think from what we've seen. I mean, a lot of our positions are honestly a lock. And if Amorian, the only one that I'm questioning about is that cornerback, and the cornerback on the other side of Will Johnson. Um,
Yep.
Safeties are set with now that Quentin Johnson come back. Was a perfect comeback. That'll help. And then with the Morian Walker coming back though, because Amorian Walker was the one that come in was a wideout when he got here and then made the switch. Yeah,
Yep.
yeah, made the switch last season. Played a little bit, didn't really see the field that often just because being young. Um, so with him coming back, he very well could fill that void now that he sees. I mean, I don't know what happened. This kind of just clicked into my head. I wonder if maybe back in right when he transferred, I wonder if maybe they they thought with moving if they were going to move someone over from who was originally safety to play there to take his spot, and so maybe he got pissed off and said, "Well, fuck you guys, I'm out," or
Right.
something like that. And now that Rod Moore got hurt, and he sees that hey, there's an opportunity at Michigan still, um, then he says, "Hey, I'm going to come back and take the opportunity that's in front of me." Kind of upsets me if that was actually the case. Like I said, I do not know. Well, we do not know. Um, just all thought out the ass.
Yeah,
And it
and,
could have
and
been
you're
a
right.
money grab too.
I hadn't thought about that. If he picked up his toys and went home because, whether it was just Harbaugh leaving or, a situation like you said, that is to me problem number one with the portal is guys guys are scared of a little bit of competition or whatever reason. It's kind of pick up your toys and go home situation, right? And I hate that about this era. Um, but with Moore getting hurt, that makes a lot of sense. Oh, now I got a shot to play back, and maybe he didn't really want to go either, and maybe they offered him some money, and he went too, and pulled a Quinn Ewers. Okay, I got my money. I'm all done.
Yeah, and then in my opinion, is probably one of those two things. I just don't think you up and leave a program just because of the fact that um, without getting your feelings hurt or for money at that case and that
Yeah.
rate, especially because at the time he left, I think again could have been something going on in the back, but he was probably looking like to be QB or cornerback too, if not pushed for that position. Either
Yeah,
way,
was it the Bama game or the Washington game where he showed out, had a hell of a game? I think it was Bama, but could have been Washington.
that was Sab.
Oh yeah,
That was
yeah,
Sab. Yeah, that was with Walker. That was Sab. Uh, Same thing. The other transfer. Speaking of that, that was a fucking tampering. But we'll start on that. I'll go down that road and then we'll jump back into the spring game real quick. Did you also hear what Saban said on the Pat McAfee show? One of the I couldn't tell here. I'll look it up so I know. Saban.
yeah.
So he during the NFL and Pat McAfee show on the pregame show, Nick Saban openly admitted to tampering,
I did see that.
and I was like, NCAA, hey, take your ass down to Bama and make Kalen DeBoer's life fucking hell. I said, because God knows if Harbaugh come out and said, hey, we did this, and Harbaugh's in the NFL, gone away from Michigan, said, hey, we tried to get this motherfucker to come in the portal, but we couldn't get him to go in the portal.
Yeah, talking about that Toledo cornerback.
Yeah, yeah. And I said, I sat there and thought, and I said, if that was Harbaugh, Michigan would have the FBI, the fucking DEA, fucking CIA, no matter every fucking person in the United States federal government would be probably on the
And
footsteps of
that's
our
my
guys.
only problem with that, right? Is the double standard, because you're right. They would try to nail us to the cross. Even if Harbaugh said that now and he was gone, they would come after us. and everybody just kind of laughed and chuckled about it. Listen, we all know that everybody does it, right? It's one of those unsaid secrets that's that's not a secret. But for him to just blatantly like, yeah, we couldn't get him in the fucking portal. We tried our ass off. Um, I couldn't think of where you were going with this, and then once you said it, I'm like, yeah, oh yeah. I mean, that was
Like, dude,
in my mental
that's by
checklist to
far.
talk about because
It's fucking illegal. It is
right,
technically illegal in the NCAA, but the NCAA is fucking cowards and care about fucking cheeseburgers being
right.
bought for a kid that just happened to see Coach Harbaugh while he was at a fucking restaurant, who was a recruit on an open visit, wasn't a fucking scheduled visit, just happened to see fucking Harbaugh there, and Harbaugh said, "Hey man, I'll pay for your food," not thinking, and boom, now we have a fucking 3 years probation and getting our asses kicked.
Yeah,
But
I mean, whatever. But that's the issues. That stuff's been going on forever. It's just going to get worse. The only thing I like Nick Saban. I think he's obviously a great coach. I think he's actually pretty funny, kind of like Belichick is showing now.
yeah,
Right?
I like it. I like him much better as a fucking normal human, not a fucking football coach.
But
It's still burn Saban. God,
my big knock against Saban is he is such a hypocrite. From the way he left Michigan State to the way he left LSU to the way he left the Dolphins when he was there. And he's always, and I get it, but he is always, his interests are always self-serving, right? And I get a lot of times they gotta be, but for him to when a couple of weeks after he retired, he come out and he was blasting the portal and the NIL and this and this
well,
and that.
that's the thing is that's why
and
he
now
left.
and now on the draft he's like, oh yeah, we tried to get him in the dude. You can't have it both ways. You can't tear down the portal and then exploit it too. He's just a hypocrite like that. Like I said, terrific coach, terrific mind. I think he's a good dude too. But it's just it's just a mess, and really the only way to fix it, I think, is to get these guys under contracts and collectively bargain things, and then it's not amateur sports anymore. Not that I guess that it is right now, but that's the downside of this. Was done so fast and in so much haste. It just wasn't a well thought out deal, and now all the loopholes are getting exposed, right?
Yeah, we talked. How many times have we talked about this on this show? And I mean, I know, and a lot of people talk about it. And I think 99.9%, probably everybody but the players themselves, think that this is an absolute shit show of a fucking setup by the NCAA.
Yeah.
I mean, we talk about it nonstop, and I mean, everyone does. But the NCAA just consistently, if it's not, something is not done this fucking off season with this, I think it's over. It's gonna be
there's gonna be a point that you can't come back from it, right? And it's
close, if not already past it.
Yeah,
3 seasons.
There's not a big window there.
No, we went through 3 seasons of it, and we're all still waiting for it to happen. But again, like I say, the NCAA cares about fucking cheeseburgers and whatever shit is going on in other places. In Arizona State for recruiting violations, and it's just a crap show with the NCAA right now. But I got 2 more notes that I like. I mean, for the spring game, Donovan Edwards is faster than he was already. For somehow he is bigger than he was 4 months ago in the national championship game, and he cuts a whole hell of a lot better from what I seen in the spring game.
Yeah,
what I seen from him in the spring game was very promising, because I know, as we've seen, he's always been. He never runs how Blake Corman, that strong, big go-getter, running for 100 yards to get, but he does it the hard way, picking up 4 or 5 yards a game. Had his explosive runs, obviously, but he was more like we talk about that Mike Hart style running back. While we've seen from Donovan Edwards, um, not as much early last season, but later in the last season, he's that explosive, big game running back. Comes in, busts 2 runs, boom, 100 yards. I think we'll look for him definitely to be that QB1. That, in fact, he's getting bigger, and I mean, shit, he's got 4 or 5 more months to get just as big, get
Yep.
even bigger. I think uh, he's an easy choice for QB1. Now, another question I wanted to ask you was with not QB, Jesus, running back is a lot of names back there in that backfield um, depth chart, but who's going to step up and be that sidekick to Donovan Edwards? I guess, in this opinion, probably could be a Thunder rather than a Lightning, as we talked about in the past. Is it? Is it? I mean, Mullins. You have Mullins. You have Cole Cabana back there. Um, coming in, what he's a sophomore this season.
Yeah.
I mean, it's that's my question. Is I mean, who do you think takes that? I mean, that RB2 spot, or do we
I mean,
see, or do we see a rotation like above that second spot, like 3 players are going to be rotating into that spot?
and I think that's probably ultimately how it ends up. I think probably Mullins is the answer, but what we need to see from Donovan Edwards this year is consistency, right? He's always kind of been that home run hitter for us, and he's also seemed to show up when we've needed him the most, right? Um,
Oh yeah,
kind
I
of
mean, you look at Blake
kind of
Corum
a
goes
big
down
game.
with a torn ACL, and he comes out against Ohio State and rushes for 2 touchdowns, 2 huge, really game-sealing touchdowns right there at the end, and
Yeah.
just put a stomp on the Columbus fucking breath. But sorry, I'm
So
really fucking
that
enjoying
that's that's where he's going to take his biggest leap. Being the guy, right, and consistently do it. We know he's got the speed. We know he's got the talent, and maybe a lot of it was a byproduct of him. Uh, it's a lot harder to get into a rhythm when you're not, when
running the
you're
ball twice, sitting for
splitting
10
the carries
plays.
and stuff, and maybe that was a part of the problem. So it'll be interesting to see because like I've said, he's got more than enough speed. He's got more than enough talent. It's just can he do it on an every down basis, and I think he can, and I think he probably will. But that's kind of the unknown.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, he did it during high school, but again, high school's a different level than where we're
Yep.
at. So I mean, obviously, Michigan brought him here to be that back. So we'll see. I'm excited. Can it just be fucking September or I guess August? Can it be August already? August 31st is the first game or whatever.
Yep.
So that's what I want. Um, 17-7 was the final score. We all talked about it. I mean, seen some good throws by Davis Warren. Um, again, I mean, he threw those 2 threw that bomb to Kendrick Bell, Ronnie Bell's um, brother, and then threw another neat, nice little pass that Frederick Moore made more of a play is make it 17-7 in that game. That was the final score as um, the Mays team got steaks and the blue team got hot dogs, which is absolute. And from what I was listening, which by the way, if uh, Jason Benetti wants to like call Michigan games this fall after Tiger season's over, 100% okay with that. That man is my all-time favorite announcer from now on.
Yeah.
Oh, dude, I've always known about him back when he was in Chicago, but like since he's been a Tigers announcer, even if the Tigers were like the White Sox are right now and like 5-22 or whatever they are, I would still watch a Tigers game just for his reaction and things like that. Um, but we'll see. MVP of the spring game, Pops. Who you got?
um, Probably, probably Orgy.
Or yeah, I went with Warren, just because he did Orgy, like I said, he was 13 for 18, had a good game. It was really weird to see both them in the fourth quarter.
Yep.
It was super weird, but again, I think it's not like, hey, we have a solidified person that we know is going to be our quarterback. Let them play. If they get hurt, I mean, that action now, what that actually kind of just threw a wrench in my head. Is now that I'm thinking, is that almost feels like a bad thing to me. Is that they're not, because what if they both go out there and get injured? Cool. Are you saying that four quarterbacks are pretty much at that point? Are all four of those quarterbacks on the same level? That's kind of where that just took my head. But um,
Right. And that, there's no way that that's true. I guess all four of them could be pretty close, and they all have their strengths and weaknesses. And if that's the case, we might be in trouble because, like we talked about earlier, we don't have a lot of wiggle room to work the bugs out and stuff, right? Um, Texas is going to be right up there.
Texas is
Um,
gonna be a top team this year. All the Ewers is back.
yeah,
I mean, they lost Xavier Worthy, but
yeah, they're going to be a top five team. I'm guessing. Um, so shit's going to get real quick, right? And I think that's going to be we're going to know how good we're sitting after that game.
oh
Um,
yeah, for sure. That's
if we can win, it's going to be a great confidence booster for the team. And if we lose, it might pan out the other way. So, that to me, that's as big a game as just about any game we've played in the last 4 or 5 years. It doesn't have I guess the pressure that the national championship game or the Ohio State games and stuff, but it's going to set the tone for the season, win or lose. I feel like if we lose that game, we could lose three or four more, and if we win that game, um, you know, I think we got a legit chance to go into Ohio State undefeated, or worst case, one loss. Um, because momentum's such a thing, and confidence is such a thing, and you know
keep talking.
uh, it's just success breeds success, and failure breeds failure, and I've always
Mm-hmm.
believed that. So if they can come out and look good, not only is it going to give the fans a lot of confidence, which really doesn't matter, but it's gonna could be a springboard into success. Again, it's just going to show us a lot, especially about whoever ends up being our quarterback. And if I was to place a bet on
Who it
Orgy,
was?
Tuttle, or Warren, I'm not sure. I'm not sure who I would pick. I think Tuttle's got to be the
I think
leader if
he's
he's healthy.
yeah,
But
and this thing is if he's going to be healthy or not. I mean,
right,
he was injured ridden last season. I mean, he got hurt after. I mean, that was probably, I think, just a concussion because I don't remember what game it was where he come in and was like thrown
yeah,
by their player like into like their bench and ended up like hitting the brick wall. Like it was a late hit, like horribly bad.
yeah,
I remember I was fucking hot, but I think he caught what concussion. I thought he broke his collarbone or something like that by the way he went in.
yeah,
But he was back out there. And I mean, I don't know. We'll see. In my opinion, though, I said it on Twitter the other day. I wrote it and I put it out there. I day one coming up September 31st. As of this date, as of now, seeing what I've seen in the spring game wise, Jack Tuttle's I think your quarterback. Big Ten experience, has started on the Big Ten level, has played at the Big Ten level.
right.
Not even as a starter, like I said. Um, Orgy, He's quick. He's fast. He's athletic. I don't think that can win us enough games next year, though, with that kind of offense. I mean, and Tuttle, he's shown he can run the ball too. And
Yeah.
he's not like a JJ McCarthy fast, but he's fast enough to pick up 5 yards here and there and
Yeah.
be able to get out there and do what we need to do. But all in all, like I said at the start of all this, it's really hard to judge off a spring game. And if you aren't an insider, you aren't anything like that, we probably honestly don't know the fucking tip of everything that's happening.
No, and the other thing is there was a lot of talk in the last couple of weeks that Michigan had somebody
In the portal.
coming through the portal that was
I
going
heard
to
that
show up.
too.
They were just waiting for him to get cleared by admissions.
Yeah, Michigan's
And-
probably fucking denied him. Just like Xavier Worthy, just like everybody else that goes on to be fucking great wideouts at Michigan, at their whatever university they go to, but Michigan won't let them in.
Right,
Fuck
and
you,
I
Sarah,
tend to
fucking
believe
dumb bitch.
that's the issue because Sharon come out, I don't know, 2 or 3 days ago and said, "Yeah, we're not going to be adding any quarterback in the portal." So, sounded like we had somebody lined up and he didn't make it through admissions, but also Davis Warren is getting a lot of love by insiders on MGO blog and a little bit on social media that they're saying he's the guy. So, but
No,
you don't know what's smoke and mirrors and what's not. And like you said,
and that's the thing
we're
is
not insiders. It'll be interesting to see, and I guess it gives us something to talk about for our football fix for the next 4 months. So,
yeah, and I mean it. We really won't know much until August and spring. I mean, fall camp starts up, so I
yeah,
mean we got
and
3 months.
I gotta believe that Sharon's gonna keep the Fort Schembachler thing going. We're not gonna know anything till about 12:02 on August 31st. So,
Yeah, I mean he hasn't, and that's one thing again on Sharon is like he hasn't really changed much about the way that they roll. He's a little bit more high up energy, like let's fucking go, like out there. Where Hardball, Hardball was your quiet, everyday person. I did see this that was funny to me at the end of the game. So they were doing all the interviews, and Sharon Moore started the whole "Hey, talk to him" thing, like how Harbaugh used to like instantly give the players the mic,
yeah,
and like the I don't remember who the sideline reporter was. She's like, "Oh, we're doing this again this year," and like as soon as she said that, Sharon just laughed and walked away, and I was like, I fucking love it. But I mean, I like I said, going off the main reason for that was he hasn't changed much of what Harbaugh was doing at Michigan. Um,
no,
whether I mean, just watching the way that things functioned and all that, it was a good, not good enough for your Michigan fix for the fall until the fall time. I think
yeah,
I'll be itching in about a month anyways, so we'll see how that goes. Um, but yeah, that's all I got on the spring game for my notes. Other than some players we already talked about, with like Frederick Moore, Zeke Berry, Cole Sullivan looked good, and Kendrick Bell. Um, but until August, we will not know anything. Well, till September, we won't know probably. Well, I guess August 31st. I keep forgetting that we play early this year. Um, we'll see then.
yes, sir.
NFL draft. Um, Detroit, you showed the fuck out.
Man,
Little bit too much. But then I'm all about it. I mean, the crowds were massive. Everything was amazing. Nothing went wrong. There was a lot of people I know was just hoping that you didn't have that one dumbass to come cause problems or um, do something stupid in Detroit. So Detroit gets that vibe that we all know Detroit gets anywhere other than the state of Michigan, and people that go down to Detroit now don't realize how much that Detroit has grown. And I think this was probably one of the best things to happen to Detroit. Not just Detroit itself. Hell yeah, this was amazing for the city of Detroit.
Yeah,
But I think this will do wonders for the teams of Detroit. Players who are free agents are going to see on a national level, not just a regional level like you see at Red Wings, Pistons, Tigers. You see at those kind of games, but at a national level,
yeah,
see how great the city of Detroit in the city and really the state of Michigan fans can be if you give them something to be happy about. Give them a good product in the field, and they'll back you
absolutely.
at 100%. But I wanted to start out with that part because 275,000 inside the draft grounds. I think you texted me and told me 400,000 in the city of Detroit that were there for the draft were just not
Now they're
inside the
saying
ground.
500,000 on Thursday night.
So yeah, that's
So shattered all the records first night, total attendance, all that stuff. So um, great deal. Like I said, shines a great light on the city of Detroit. Um, we people in and around the state know that this it's been not the same old Detroit, but that national reputation has stuck, right? Um, but like you said, I haven't read one negative thing about it. Glowing national reviews, and that there were fights and stuff like that. But that's anytime you get a little crowd. But that was the big concern, was that some asshole was gonna try to make a name for himself when the national spotlight was on Detroit, and that could have been. Even though I don't think there's not a lot that could be done to prevent a situation like that. Somebody's got their mindset to something, they're going to figure out a way to do it, but nothing big. The only thing close to a negative that I've seen is that Thursday night they start turning people away at like an hour and a half before the draft started.
yeah.
Hey, we're full, and there were a large group of workers who talked to um, the news. They had left the area to take a smoke break, and the cops
People.
wouldn't let them back in. And then Friday, there was a bunch of kids. There's like 50, 60 people that rushed the gate and started climbing it because um, the cops refused them entry. So they're like, "Oh, we're gonna get our own way in." But that's not black eye stuff. That's
That's
kind of just
no,
people
that's
being people, and so great turnout for Detroit from the records to the way things went. I thought it was really cool that Friday, I guess it was, they brought up all the Michigan players that were
yep.
and let them bring the trophy and kind of show out. And then on the flip side, was it yesterday that they brought Whitmer out and like
Oh Jesus
they,
Christ!
they listen, they panned away from her so quick because the place erupted in booze.
Why?
Uh,
Why? I know what I'm not gonna get like super political when I say this, but why bring that dumb fucking bitch? Whoever I obviously not everyone fucking hates her in Michigan because apparently she keeps getting fucking elected. And God, no, I'm gonna go down a road and I'm gonna say some shit and it's not gonna go good. Anyways, let's talk sports because I didn't know that and it just lit a fucking fire on my under my fucking ass. Like
so
I hate that bitch. I don't even live in the state anymore.
So the thing is right. It's a politician doing political things, nothing more, nothing less, trying to get up there and do her thing. And you know, uh, Detroit is a stronghold Democratic city, right? I was a little
Yeah,
bit
I know.
surprised, but what really shocked me, and it was she since deleted it. When and I shouldn't say she's because it's probably her social media team, but she had a thing on her um, official governor Twitter, I think it was, where she said, "Thank you for all the love, Detroit, blah blah blah." And I'm serious, like the first 25, 30 comments on that post were people showing videos where all you could hear was booze. That's it. And the next thing you know, that post is gone. They're like, "You're a delusional bitch," because this is the reality of the situation. Um,
Yeah.
so just funny.
No, yeah, no. That yeah, I don't. I've never. I despise her more than I despise Joe Biden. Let's just say that. And I don't even live in the state, and it doesn't even affect me anymore. But well, it does affect me because y'all are up there still, families up there still. But anyways, um, let's talk about like the actual draft now. Let's get off of this.
All
Well, I
right.
mean, I think this is probably true for you too. I know we follow it, but I mean, I I don't watch the draft like a fucking hawk over eyes. I watch it. I watch the first round usually, and then follow the rest of it as is on my phone.
Yeah.
So can't really talk much in depth on our side. We all know it's kind of how we've always been on this podcast. The NFL to us isn't super important. Um, it's fun to watch just as an extra football activity. Um, have our teams here and there, but all in all, the draft is not something I can sit through and watch for 3 days straight, nonstop. Um,
No, absolutely not.
so, I mean, the first half, and we'll really probably just more talk about the first round and anything else you want to talk about, and then the Michigan players, some of the Michigan players going. JJ McCarthy, were you shocked? I mean, I know you really weren't shocked to see him go to Minnesota. You talked about it. You kind of called it. Um,
Yeah.
were you shocked to see him go as late as he did, though, to Minnesota? That Minnesota wasn't able to trade up because I know they traded up one spot, which that to me is a weird trade because you got to go up one spot. The team in front of you ain't going to take him.
Right.
But do they do that so
Who
they
was in
make sure
front of
that
them?
no one
Giants, right?
Jets?
Jets. Yeah.
Obviously, the Jets weren't taking him. Um. So, were you like I asked? Were you surprised to see him go all the way back to 10?
A little bit. I kind of felt all along that that's kind of where he had the best. Um, just
Did you
read
just
your
read my
comment.
message?
So, there was a little bit of rumor that he could that Chicago had interest, right? And hometown guy, hometown team, and the Bears just make horrible decision after horrible decision, and I just wouldn't put it past them to do the whole draft him for PR purposes, in large part. But and I think you feel the same way that I do. I think Caleb Williams is about as guaranteed a bust as there can be. I think he's a flake. I don't think that I just don't see him being successful. And I know I'm not the only one. There's a lot of play
Oh, a
out there,
lot.
and maybe I'm wrong, right? But he just doesn't pass the eye test for me, and it's not about his physical talent. That's obviously there.
No, the dude's a Madonna.
Yeah, um, and so you know, there's got to be some GMs that feel the same way that a big part of the nation of fandom does. Um, but I really thought that Minnesota would trade up to grab him, and maybe they had a backup plan, and then once things start falling out, they're like, hey, we don't need to. And I thought there was an outside chance that he would go to the team you want him to go to, New England.
Dude, we'll get on that. No, mm-mm. I'm this close to just jumping ship. Like, nope. That's a
I
sinking
thought
ship.
early on in the process, I thought he probably would go to Atlanta, and then Atlanta got Cousins, and I'm like, well, they don't need a quarterback. And then, what, dude? What the hell?
Dude, I listen. I have that on my notes too. I had gotten up. I was sitting in my chair, and I'd gotten up and went and cleaned up after dinner, just listening to it. And I was like mid walking to the kitchen, and uh, Pat McAfee was releasing things faster than what they would do online. He was getting the
Yeah,
information, and they kind of got mad at him at like the 20th pick. They told him like, "Hey, dude, wait till it gets announced on stage," because it was fucking. He was announcing it 30 seconds before they come on stage, and then uh, it would go out on Twitter, so everyone's like, "What the fuck?" So I think people were bitching, but anyways, it come out and he said it, and I literally just stopped what I was doing, turned around, and just was like, "Did they just say who I think they just said?" Because in my opinion, that dude wasn't even a first round draft pick,
no,
and I don't know if you've seen it, but whoever the Falcons GM is, and then there's a video of him talking to their owner, like right after that happened in the war room, and this dude is like just reeling, trying to catch, uh, trying to explain why did we just spend 4 years, $180 million on Kirk Cousins to be our quarterback, and draft a quarterback out of the NFL who is 28, 24 years old, and he'll be 24, 25. I don't remember his exact age. Who is going to be almost 30 years old probably by the time he's able to start a football game.
right. And with the, Penix again. I'm not knocking the guy. He's a great athlete, but one, I think he quit during the Michigan game. Right, we beat him in a submission.
Well, we beat the shit out of him.
And we did. But two, he's got just a long history of injuries. I believe he's tore both ACLs. Um, and not only that, but like you said, you give Cousins 4 years, 180 million, and now you bring in this guy, and like you said, he's going to be 29 years old by the time Cousins' contract's up. And I get bringing in a guy and letting him learn from somebody, and even though Cousins is Sparty, he's a good guy. He's been a solid NFL quarterback. Think he's been a really professional quarterback, and I think he's a right person and a good person to groom somebody. But I just don't understand why you do that when you just gave a guy pretty much $200 million. But whatever. This is the team that was celebrating when they were up 28 points, in the Super Bowl and
Yeah,
choked it away.
that was my first Twitter post. This is why the Falcons lost a 28-3 lead in the Super Bowl. I was
Right.
like, that is a joke of a franchise at the moment. And I don't know what it is, but as soon as it happened, I just like everybody else in the world. I think everyone was shocked. They even fathom taking a quarterback in the first round of the draft when they have a lot more issues than a quarterback now at this rate with
Yep.
Kirk Cousins.
Back to JJ, I really thought that the Jets may take him because I know Rodgers says he's playing another 5 years, but and maybe he does. I just don't see it. But I thought that would be a great spot for him to learn under somebody because JJ might not be ready to carry a franchise yet. Now, I think he will be, but I don't think that a year or two learning the system with not a lot of pressure on you hurts anybody. Very few guys, and we're seeing more and more every year, but come in and are successful right off the bat. And
look at CJ Stroud.
Yeah, I do think he has a good chance to do that because of where he come from and who his coach was, and he was a lot of stuff they did was a professional NFL system. But I also thought that he may go to Denver. There was some rumors about the Chargers trading to Minnesota,
Mm-hmm.
trading down, getting Herbert and O lineman and some draft picks to do that, and that would have been really risky, I think, because Herbert's a proven guy. But if Harbaugh really had the choice, I know I'm bouncing around here, but this is something I meant to say earlier, talking about Atlanta. You know, stuff about Belichick come out as he didn't get that Atlanta job because they wouldn't give him full control.
Where
Well,
how he had the GM job, how he
yeah,
with the Patriots, he
so
was a GM.
we're looking at. I bet you Belichick's counting his blessings now. That what a just clusterfuck
And
of of things.
well, no, it's a Atlanta. Like I said, it's a hot mess down there right now. I
Yeah,
mean, really, that whole division is a hot mess. But that was just mind blowing to me. Um, let's stay. I want to say a few more things about the quarterback wise. Um, what we had 7 quarterbacks drafted in like the top in the first round or something like that. But like
six, I think. Yeah,
some crazy number, like 6 out of the first 12 picks or whatever were quarterbacks. 7 of the first 12, whatever.
and like the first 14 or 16 picks were offensive picks too.
Yeah,
So
yeah, I think it was the first 13 or something. Yeah, like you said. Um, out of those quarterbacks, the ones that I think are going to have the most success, and y'all can call me biased, y'all can say whatever you want, ranked 1 through 3 is number 1, JJ McCarthy. You can call, like I said, call me biased, call me whatever. I've watched him for, 3 years now.
right,
And as someone who understands the game of football and watches what that man does, he has the talent. And I think he's has the highest, like you said, how Michigan runs their program like an NFL program. At least did with Harbaugh. We'll see if that continues. Hopefully with Sharon, JJ at 1. Be surprised here probably to a lot of people, as I think Bo Nix is the second best quarterback in this draft, and has especially with a team. Another reason why I say JJ will also have success. Going back on him real quick is that I think with him having Justin Jefferson,
that's a game changer, right?
Dad, JJ is so accurate, whether it's from throwing on the run or that you leave a little space. I mean, look what he threw the balls that he threw against. Well, look at
Yeah,
Ohio State game. Look at the Nebraska game. Some of the throws that he threw. I know it's Nebraska, but um, we just seen him make throws that they're NFL throws, like throws you have to make. We'll see. Is he going to start off probably leading them to the playoffs and or anything like that? Possibly as a lower seed. Um, there's a high ceiling and like there's a high ceiling to JJ. That's more what I'm saying.
yeah, and I think who was your third one?
Sorry. Sorry, Jaden Daniels. I think Jaden Daniels is the
Yeah,
third. I think Williams, Penix. I think Drake May is a fucking bust. So is Bill Belichick. Bill Belichick pretty much said the dude was ass
yeah,
on fucking the Pat McAfee show when he got drafted. And as soon as JJ got drafted, all he had to say was this: fucking all good things. The only thing he complained about JJ was is that JJ sometimes waits too long to leave the pocket,
yeah,
even though he still gets out of it usually. And like it was little things that I'm like, but like with Drake May, he listed off like 7, 8 things that needed to be fixed, and I was like, thank you. I know you're making my
yeah.
life even
Yeah,
worse now.
JJ, I think his biggest challenge is going to be um, knocking down his risky throws because you're not going to get away with the
Oh yeah.
mistakes that you do in college, right? And they burn him a couple times. But to me, and just like you said, I'm sure there's a little bias sitting there, but to me, him and Jaden Daniels are the two that have the most potential for success. And I would probably put JJ first just because I think Daniels is more talented, but Daniels is a runner, right? And you look at RG3 right on down the list. These guys, Lamar Jackson, I guess, is the exception. But those guys just don't usually last. You know, the run first elite athletes, they get beat up too much. And he said, "I'm going to be better than Michael Vick." Well, if you have that mindset coming in, um, you just can't rely on pure athleticism. And JJ is, to me, the most well rounded of the quarterbacks. And, you know, I get the I think a lot of the hate is just opposing fan trash talk. But, you know, like you, I've watched every snap of his multiple times.
Mm-hmm.
I never got the hate that he got. I never got the thoughts that, um, you know, there was people saying he wasn't going to be drafted. He wasn't, you know, he wasn't third round, fourth round. I just never seen it. I thought 10 was about as low as he would go, or 11 because Minnesota was at 11. And,
Yeah, I
you know,
said from the start he's a top 10 draft pick. From
yeah,
even before he picked up the hype when he was still at Ohio State. Not when he was Jesus Christ. I got to thinking I was going to say something about Ohio State. Um, from the time that he had the hype at Michigan. Well, okay, cool.
yeah,
It leads the national championship. Even after the national championship game, he still was projected to be a second round quarterback at that point. And this motherfucker come out and showed out in the draft
right.
or in the combine. I'm sorry, not the draft. And well, this is where we are
And
today,
you know,
and instantly shot up.
historically, and I don't have the stats in front of me, but historically, your top two or three quarterback picks
Mm-hmm.
are not the ones that have the best careers, right? It's usually the guy, you know, there's
Yeah.
usually a surprise or two. And, you know, JJ was the fifth quarterback picked, I think. Fourth
So
or
we
fifth?
had top the first three. Yeah, he was the fifth
Fifth.
because
He was
Penix got
fifth,
picked.
yeah. Because Penix was at 8.
Penix was at 9.
Penix was 8 to Atlanta. 9 was the Bears, and they got Rome Odunze.
Oh yeah. Yep,
So,
I forgot about the Bears. They're in there again.
um, I think he's just positioned well, and good for him because you know there's a lot of pressure that comes with a top 3, top 5 pick, and I think the pressure will be off him a little bit. And you see, you know, like you said, Justin Jefferson, that gives him a hell of an outlet, right? Somebody he can go to. Jefferson is a top 3 receiver in the NFL, top 5 for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so interesting dynamic. You know, the biggest thing that I don't like about it is that he's in division, and I'm not going to be able to cheer for him a couple times a year, but you know, whatever. But Midwest guy, Chicago, right? Played in Michigan,
Just outside. Right.
so
Stayed in the
fairly
area.
close. Fairly close to where he grew up. I think it's about a 4-hour drive to Chicago from Minneapolis, Twin Cities. So I think that's probably one of the 2 or 3 best places he could have landed, and the way the
Yeah.
way everything rolled out, it was absolutely the best place for him. So I look
Yeah,
forward
because
to
really, I'm
having a
sorry.
lot of success.
Yeah, I am too. And like I said, I think like you said, just right there is he's definitely has the best success. Because Minnesota, that's really they all are. That's really they're really just the quarterback away from being good again. Um,
Yeah,
and I mean, they still have Justin Jefferson. They think they'll be all right. But I mean, other than JJ, who else? Let's see. Christopher Jenkins went 49th overall. We had 13 players drafted. Chris Jenkins was the Bengals, 49 overall. Sainer still to the Commanders at 50. Colson to the Chargers, back with Harbaugh at 69. Blake Corum went to the Rams at 83. Um, Roman Wilson to the Steelers at 84, which just is a cool little spot. 83 through 85 was 3 straight Wolverines drafted, with Zach Zinner closing it out at 85 to the Browns. AJ Barner goes to Seattle, which I think that could be a great fit for him. Keegan, Trevor Keegan goes to Philly, 172. Michael Barrett to Carolina at 240. Ladarius Henderson to Houston at 249. Jalen Harrell to the Titans at 252, and Cornelius Johnson rounded out the Wolverines that were drafted um, at 253 overall. So, um, real quick, I'll go over that list. Like I said, other than JJ, people that were drafted, even the ones that have signed so far, just to kind of wrap this up, who do you think will, other than JJ, who do you think has the best success? Whether it's where the why, like if it's because where they're at, or
You
just
know,
talent wise.
I, the Redskins, the Commanders, shit show, right? New ownership. Maybe they turn their stuff around. Uh, yeah,
And
I was
Quinn's
really,
their quarter. The Quinn's their coach now, right?
yep. I
Yeah.
was really hoping that the Lions would take Mikey. Um, and if he would have been there on day two, I think they probably would have. I think he has a great shot for success. I really like the Corum Rams fit. I think he'll excel in their system.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I,
What
I
do you think about
really,
Roman Wilson going to the Steelers?
I think that's a great fit.
I do
I
too,
think,
and that's what I was sitting here thinking. I said, the man he bought himself money. I don't think at the Senior Bowl he was all he was just talked about nonstop at the Senior Bowl.
yeah,
Didn't play. Ended up getting injured. Well, injured. Who knows if he was actually hurt or not, um, or if he just decided he didn't want to play just because he made his money during practice.
yeah,
I think that's a great fit. I think
yep.
this.
I think that's a great fit too. Also, I don't know about fit. I think it's probably a good fit, but the player that there's two players that I'm really curious about, and I want to see Zach Zenner really be successful, and I think Cleveland's a great place for him. But also, CJ Cornelius Johnson going to the Chargers. Um, I think much like the quarterbacks that he was inconsistent at times. Don't get me wrong, but I think he was a player that sacrificed a lot because of our offensive system, and I
Just as
think
JJ did. Yep.
yeah, yeah, I think he's got a chance to be shit. What's the kid in Houston that showed out for him last year? Our guy
Nico Nico
who?
Collins. Nico
Yeah,
Collins.
yeah. I think he's got a chance to have Nico Collins type success in the NFL because he's got all the physical tools, right? Um, so it'll be interesting to see how it pans out. And there's probably going to be somebody in there that surprises me or surprises us.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I think there's nobody that screams bad fit to me on the way the guys got drafted. I think everybody's got a decent chance for success. The undrafted free agents, I think, anyways, are good fits, and I think that probably speaks to the system and Harbaugh's system that they've played in for the last few years. Um, I forget if it was McAfee or Belichick, and it could have been someone else that really spent a lot of time talking about the systems and you know mentioned Bama, Michigan. I think they mentioned Ohio State. That run these pro systems, and NFL teams gravitate to those guys. If there's guys
Yep.
with fairly equal talent available, they're going to take a guy that comes from one of those schools because they know that they've played in an NFL type system for a while. So um, hope they all have success.
Yeah, I do too. Um, we'll see. Pick one right now. Who's gonna have the best career? Everybody. Not even you can count JJ. You can count them all.
Hang on just a second.
Oh, I didn't even realize you got up. Sorry, I was on another screen. But
You know,
yes, guys.
I guess you got to go with JJ because the most visible. Running backs are hit or miss. Um,
Very much, especially in today's NFL.
yeah, and not necessarily the players doesn't have a lot of control in that. I think Junior. I'm gonna go with Sanders still.
Change that up real quick. You're about to say Colson.
I was.
I, as much as I want Mikey to do great, and I think he will do great things in the NFL, I just don't like where he went at all. That's my question about him is
So it's been a shit whole organization, right? But like I said, new ownership. Um, Maybe they can turn stuff around, or maybe he has
Dan,
success for a couple of years and gets the hell out of there. You know, who knows?
yeah, and Dan Quinn's not a bad coach either, and see what he can do over there. Um, but like I said, I think it's between, like you said, JJ and quite possibly. I mean, you were going to say Junior Colson. I mean, but I think that fits well with him going to the Chargers and being with Harbaugh as a draft pick.
It does.
So we'll see. I mean, he had in the last 2 seasons he's averaged 98 tackles. So with us, so we'll see what he does over there. And season starts this fall. I think that's it for everything that I had for the NFL draft. Anything else that you got for it, Pops?
I don't think so. You know, just real quick, I also wouldn't be surprised if Jenkins ends up being the number one guy.
I kind of like him in Cincinnati too.
Yeah.
Aaron had texted me as soon as he got drafted because Aaron's a Bengals fan,
Yep.
and he was like his stats were poop. I mean, but I told him I was like, dude, he was eating double teams up. The dude's
Right.
a freak athlete.
He is.
He was just eating double teams up on the inside where he wasn't. He did more than what showed on film. He let our linebackers get in there and make the plays.
Yeah, he freed, like you said, because he was eating those double teams. He freed up a lot of things for other people to get numbers. You know, and I think he even did that. You know, as a sophomore for Aiden Hutchinson. You know, they don't call him the mutant for no reason. Just a freak athlete, and so I wouldn't be surprised at all to see him have tremendous success in the NFL.
Yep, I agree. Real quick, want to do this kind of, I guess, just a entertainment side. Question of the week, just a random, like not sports question, just kind of like a would you rather kind of thing, just to kind of close out the show every week. So this week's question is: would you rather give up AC and heating for the rest of your life, or give up the internet for the rest of your life?
The internet.
Even if,
internet.
well, let me. Even what if Michigan football is playing Ohio State on Peacock, when Michigan's playing a national championship game next season, and it's magically on Peacock. Yeah, true.
I can't sweat today. I'd be gone in this summer if I didn't have.
Yeah, that's for me. 100% is AC and heating.
Right. That's down here.
It's already fucking 90 degrees down there. You can see my fucking sun that I got yesterday after sitting on the beach for playing cornhole for.
It was 80 degrees here yesterday.
Yeah, good deal. Like I said, it was. Actually, I think that's actually what it was over in Pensacola because there was like a 30-mile-an-hour wind. But we had it was 92 degrees like earlier this week, and it was humid as fuck. And Jesus, it was not fun. But yeah, I think that's fun. And I had a worse one, and I was like, let's see how this goes first. I'll do a light one to start. And
yeah, let's start off easy.
Yeah, I was like, I'll do these. I promise you guys, just
because
I did mark these. I mark these shows as expletive as on YouTube and Spotify, more just because we've always cussed and said the F word and things like that. But these I promise you, the way that me and him are, we'll pick questions. We'll go back and forth and pick questions every week or when we do the podcast. Because I think this off season, I'll go over and say this real quick. Is I think we're gonna go down to one show a month until August. When spring camps kicks back up, and I think middle of August we'll start back up and doing our weekly shows. We're just in that time of year where we can come on and talk about the Tigers winning half of their games this week and losing half of them.
Right.
But if something, obviously, guys, if something big comes up, we'll be out. We'll be on here. We'll do a show and talk about it. If anything big happens, whether we get the news of from the NCAA's decision on the Connor Stallions, like I call it Spygate. Honestly, it's the same thing.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, I don't expect anything to come out till just before the season starts.
if
But
I'm so over it, like waiting for it at this rate, like
yeah,
I don't know. We'll see. But yeah, this whole question thing, like I said, we'll swap it in and out, and I promise you guys, it's probably gonna get bad.
yeah,
We'll keep it. We'll keep
absolutely.
it. We'll keep it rated R, but we probably won't keep it rated R plus after a while.
Right.
The one that I had today that originally had typed up and put in there was fucking gruesome, and I sat there and I was like, yeah, maybe shouldn't start off with that one. So I changed it up just to see how it goes, and you guys, like I said, we appreciate you guys, and like I said, we're gonna go to one show for May, one show for June and July also. Um, just to be able to do what we can do, spend our summers doing what we want. Don't really have to worry about bouncing back and forth the podcast. Um, so we will see you guys next month sometime. It'll probably be towards the end of the month, like monthly, starting at the end of each month, just to recap the month. And we'll see you guys then. That's all I got for today, though.
Hail.
All right, guys. We have a great weekend. Well, great rest of your weekend. Michigan Panthers play today again at 3, and I think the Tigers play. I don't know what time the Tigers actually play today. I'm going to assume it's probably a day game because it's Sunday.
Yeah, I think it's 1 o'clock.
Yeah. So, I mean, we'll see what happens with them guys. But we appreciate it. And as always, go blue.
Go blue.